All right, everybody, buckle up. This episode is absolute gold. I'm going to give you 3 league winners at each position, quarterback to tight end, all the positions. I'm going to give you all of the league winners that I absolutely love. You need to get on your teams right now, and 2 pretenders at each position you need to get rid of and trade immediately. Gold episode. If you're new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it, and drop your questions below. I want to answer as many questions as I can to help you guys win NFL Week 9 and beyond, okay? So let's dive right into it. If you're new to the channel, hit that thumbs up for NFL breaking news and winning fantasy football advice. Hit that thumbs up. I want everybody to subscribe. I've looked at the subscriber base, and I'm looking at it, and I want it to grow because I want to grow this Lion community. If you got that Lion mentality and you want to win, subscribe. All right, let's start off with the quarterback position here. The guys that I absolutely love. Now, some of these guys are like, hey, Captain Obvious. Not necessarily, though, because there's a lot of players that are sleeping on these guys, and a lot of players that you could trade away to get these guys. So don't be discouraged. Say, well, Joe, there's no way I can get Josh Allen, which is the first guy. There is ways, which I'm going to talk about right now. So the first player I love is Josh Allen. This guy is set. He's in the groove. This is the guy I told you in 60 rounds to anchor your team with. They finally got Amari Cooper, which is actually helping my guy, Keon Coleman, because now the number 1 corner is targeting Amari Cooper, and it's opening things up for the most talented receiver on that roster, which is Keon Coleman. So I believe right now that Josh Allen is actually in his groove. He's going to continue to thrive, and he is going to be the alpha. So make sure you guys get Josh Allen on your team. The next one is Bo Nix. Make sure you guys grab Bo Nix. I know you're saying, well, Bo Nix, I don't know if I trust this guy. A guy in my Patreon group just said to me, he's like, hey, man, I'm thinking of getting rid of CJ Stroud for Bo Nix because CJ Stroud is not performing where I thought he'd perform. I'm like, dude, sometimes you got to take a risk. You got to leap. And Bo Nix was number 2 in fantasy points in week 8. And the guy put up just under 30 points, and he's consistently producing on a high level. Bo Nix is a guy that's getting it done in the rushing game. He's getting it done in the passing game, and he's ultra hungry. Make sure you get him on your roster, okay? And the third one is Jalen Hurts. Now, he had a slow start to the season, and a big part of that is because of his banged up wide receiver core. Moving forward, this guy is going to continue to crush it. He's got a great O-line. He's got a great team. Now, you are getting some volatility with the wide receivers. Is it Devontae Smith? Is it A.J. Brown? They're kind of going back and forth each week. It was the Smith week in week 8. Going in week 9, it could be A.J. Brown again. But it doesn't matter because when you look at a guy like Jalen Hurts, he's the guy that's constantly going to keep feeding these guys. He's constantly going to thrive. So he's another guy for the rest of the season that can be absolute gold. You definitely want to target. So Josh Allen, Bo Nix, and Jalen Hurts are 3 quarterbacks I could trust for the rest of the season. Now, who are the 2 pretenders that I believe you need to get rid of? The first one I believe is Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker Mayfield is solid. He's consistent. He's been great, but he's banged up. He lost Godwin. Godwin is done, and so is Mike Evans till at least week 12. So now he's going to probably messed up for a bunch of weeks. Now, he's got a relatively mid-range matchup into week 9, but I'm just still not sold on Baker Mayfield being ultra elite. I still like my Jalen Hurts. I still like my Josh Allens of the world, and I just believe he's going to take a big dip in the next 4 weeks, and maybe even for the rest of the season with Godwin being gone. He still could be solid. He's been doing great, but personally for me, I'm not really a Baker believer, if that even makes sense, okay? And the next one is Sam Darnold, who's sitting 15th amongst quarterbacks. Strong start. I'm just still not sold. I still think that Darnold is a pretender. I think the Vikings are pretenders. Yeah, he's got Jefferson. He's got some options there, but I just don't trust Darnold as my true quarterback one. I trust Kirk Cousins even more, right, with the offensive weapons he's got. And I also trust guys like Jared Goff that ahead of guys like Sam Darnold. So I think Baker and Darnold are pretenders that you can still trade and just look to acquire the three guys that I mentioned, okay? Running back. Look to get these 3 running backs. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and Byjan. Now you say, well, Joe, that's going to be hard to get. Derrick Henry's the number 1 running back in fantasy. Barkley's number 3. Byjan's number 4. What do I do? Listen, there's a bunch of pretenders out there, including Devin Achane coming off a big week and DeAndre Swift as well. You could trade. There is other guys you can combo and trade. Now, Devin Achane was number 2 in week 8. But he's sitting on 17th on the year. So I still think durability is going to be a concern there. I still think committee is going to be a concern there. And I still think they are pass-first offense. And I'm just not really sold on Devin Achane being consistent throughout the year. He's not Byjan. He's not Derrick Henry, and he's not Saquon Barkley. He's an explosive player that's going to get you a ton of wins, but I think that you could trade high right now and acquire some of the top 3 guys that I really like this year that are going to be your consistent guys that I told you to draft. Now, if you're 16 rounders, you've got these guys. And that's one thing that I'm very grateful for is that we drafted the right people, minus a Zamir White here and there. Overall, my picks were rock solid, but man, oh man, I'm telling you guys that having and anchoring your team with an ace running back, which is what we did as 16 rounders. I've got Henry, I've got Barkley as a combo on my teams. I was going Barkley, I was coming back getting Henry. And I was going Baiji, and I was getting Henry. So I've got a combo of both of these guys, or all three of these guys, in a bunch of leagues, okay? So listen, you got to anchor your team with an ace running back, and now we're learning it this year because we're getting a ton of value at wide receiver, which we're going to get to right now. Ladd McConkey, Ridley, and Brian Thomas Jr. were all drafted after the 7th round, including Ladd McConkey, who I've got on all my teams, who had a breakout week. I mean, it's going to be tougher to get him now, coming off a 29-point week. This guy had 6 targets, 6 receptions, and 2 touchdowns. Now, it was a little inflated last week. You could look to buy him after this week. He's going to have a little bit of a dip off, but I just think that, man, oh man, I told you to wait on wide receiver, anchor your team with an ace running back, and all those wide receivers, early round guys, the Diggs getting hurt, Nico Collins getting hurt, right? Tyreek Hill having a down year. There's a ton of guys at wide receiver. Devontae Adams not having the season that he wanted, right? Amon St. Brown getting dipped into with Jameson Williams, right? So you gotta look at those ace wide receiver ones, but you can get them later. Romeo Dobbs, another guy. So all my wide receivers are crushing it, but I didn't have to spend a first, second, or third round pick. I got my running backs, I got my ace quarterback and Josh Allen, and that's why I'm winning my leagues. This is a strategy you guys start implementing next year. And if you get 16 rounds, you guys are going to be set for the entire season. Okay, guys? So let's keep going here. We got Ridley, another wide receiver you definitely want to target. Ridley now is going to eat. There's without a doubt he's going to eat this year. He already have 15 targets, 10 receptions. Now with Hopkins gone, that opens things up. He's finally starting to eat. Calvin Ridley's a guy you want to target. I think I trust him to be a league winner for the rest of the season. And Brian Thomas Jr., like I said, he's day-to-day with a rib injury, but look to target him. Couple pretenders here you want to get rid of are Zay Flowers, who now has some more competition with the addition of Deontay Johnson on the Ravens. These guys are looking to win the Super Bowl this year. They're going to make a run for it. But Zay Flowers is a guy, man, that I think you just want to get rid of. He's 16th wide receiver on the year, being the wide receiver 1, apparently. But even with him being the only guy there, he's still 16th amongst wide receivers. Now he's going to take a dip. Now you're saying, Joe, isn't Deontay going to come in and help him? He's going to get more volume. Very possible, but I just don't think so. Lamar's not a high volume passing guy. They're still going to be looking to run the ball with Henry, and he's going to rush the ball a lot. And I think Deontay is more of the alpha there anyway. He's going to get the volume. So Zay Flowers is a pretender. The next guy is T. Higgins and Devontae Smith. I think you can sell high on Devontae Smith. These guys that are wide receiver 2s, I never target, right? I'd rather get rid of a T. Higgins and get rid of a Devontae Smith. Get rid of these fake wide receiver 2s. Well, they're real wide receiver 2s, but they're fake wide receiver 1s. Get the true wide receiver 1s, the Ladd McConkeys, the Brian Thomas Jr.'s of the world. Look to acquire those, and that's exactly how I tell you to draft. So now is the time you could trade high on a guy like Devontae Smith coming off such a big week, okay? Tight ends you want to get right now are Cade Otton, Travis Kelce, Jake Ferguson. Now, Jake Ferguson had 8 targets last game. Listen, this is great. 8 targets, man. Now, he didn't finish on top, amongst tight ends last week is simply because he didn't get the touchdowns. Tight ends get inflated based on touchdowns. Now, Cade Otton, great position, 10 targets. Kelce, great position, 10 targets. Look to get those as well. I think they're going to stay consistent throughout the season, but Jake Ferguson didn't have the touchdown, which again brought his overall numbers. I think you can buy low on him. And you want to trade away immediately Sam Laporta. He's coming off, he only had 6 targets. That's not a lot for a guy who's could be thriving this week based on the absence of Jameson Williams. And now I'm telling you could trade high. I think he still has a good week this week, but when Jameson Williams comes back, I still think he takes a dip, and I don't think he's going to get the volume that he wants. So you could trade high on Laporta and look to get some of the 3 tight ends that I mentioned that are going to be consistent throughout the year, including Jake Ferguson, who is the target 2 there in Dallas, and they're looking to bounce back, okay? So I know it seems like a little daunting and a little overwhelming to try to get these big names, but you can package some of the guys that are selling high. You could trade away some of these guys and get the guys that you really want, the guys that are consistent, that are the real ones. Get rid of the pretenders, the guys that are the 1-week wonders, or the guys that are going to have your boom bust type weeks, guys like Devontae Smith. Get rid of them and look to get the alphas on the team and the guys that have finally broken out, the Ladd McConkeys that are emerging, that are constantly going to get the target. And remember, get the guys that are volume getters. Get the guys that are getting volume from quarterbacks that actually throw the ball. Example, Justin Herbert, I think he's finally in his groove now with Ladd, and things are opening up. So stay sharp, guys. Stay sharp when you're trading. Look for the alphas. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Smash it, tap it, slap it. And here are some solid league winners. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Look to get these guys on your team. Hit the thumbs up. Smash it, tap it, slap it, turn on the bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Appreciate you. Line up.